Starliner Media. Starliner Media presents Music Night at the Majestic with your host, Michael Boswell.
All right, it's time once again for Music Night at the Majestic. With us tonight, Jann Klose. Jann, welcome back to the show.
Good to be back. How are you, Michael?
Doing good. So you've been busy since you were last here. You got a new single coming out. Tell us about that.
I do. I'm trying to figure out when was the last time I was on your show. Do you remember?
Probably about a year ago, I think.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
Time flies, you know.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what's going on anymore. I just kind of everything is a day by day thing. But I do have a new single coming out on this Friday, May 16th, 2025. When I'm With You is the name of it. And yeah, it's coming out. It's coming out.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, you've got a real kind of an 80s vibe on this record.
Oh, yeah? Okay, good. Yeah, whatever works. Whatever you want to call it. Nothing ever happens on purpose. I'm clueless. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, tell me this. Are you an avid 80s music era fan?
I mean, I grew up in the 80s, 90s, so there was nothing that could it had to have some effect on me. And yeah, I mean, some of my favorite records, especially singles are from that era. And Everett Bradley, who I wrote the song with, he's actually a member of Bon Jovi. He's in the band. He also toured with Seal recently, so there is a lot of that influence. And I think he was kind of driving that. He wanted to kind of go for like a little bit of a retro vibe, whatever that means. I mean, it's so subjective. For me, it's just at the end of the day, it's like I want it to sound great, and I want the song to be great. And so it really, a lot of it is a matter of taste. But yeah, I think we just wanted to write a song that we can connect with. At the end of the day, it's all we want as songwriters.
Yeah. Well, tell me this before we get into the song itself, as we're talking about it. What were some of your favorite singles? Did you buy a lot of records then, or is it more listening to the radio, watching MTV?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a record player. I had tapes. So, I grew up with tapes and then CDs. So, it's the worst of the worst because I had to rebuy everything twice and now 3 times with downloads. Now it's streaming, so it's like I feel like I'm paying for the same thing over and over and over. And that's good for the songwriters, so I'm not complaining. But I had tapes. I mean, I made mixtapes. Classic. I recorded stuff off the radio, and then I made mixtapes and put them in my, my Walkman or my boombox or whatever. But that was like 12-year-old, super fun. I loved doing that. I had imaginary radio shows, and I would I was the DJ, and it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Now tell me this: do you still have any of those tapes? Because what I've done is on some of those mixtapes, I've gone back and then made the digital version of it.
Oh, really?
To where, on my phone, I can play the same playlist I made, in 1985 or whatever.
Yeah, that would probably be going too far. I don't know if I have that much time on my hands. But I still have some of the tapes. I still have some of the mixtapes. My brother has them, actually. So I don't know. I hope he's taking care of them. They're in Germany with him. And but yeah, I mean, I make playlists now sometimes, but I really don't listen to that much music. I love movies. I watch a lot of movies, and I write music. So I don't listen to a whole lot. We listen to a lot of music for reference sometimes, for production reference and for style references at times. So it kind of depends on who I'm writing with.
Did you do that for this record?
Oh yeah, we always do that. We always kind of with my co-writer. So Everett Bradley is a co-writer. Marcella Detroit is a co-writer. Shakespeare's sister, Eric Clapton. Marcus Dembinski, my producer, is a co-writer. and they're all different from different generations. I mean, Marcella's been around for forever and has made tons of albums. I mean, she was in Clapton's band for 4 years in the 70s. She's the voice on Promises, and she co-wrote Lay Down Sally, and then she was in Shakespeare's Sister in the 90s with Siobhan Fahey from Bananarama, who was then married to Dave Stewart from the Eurythmics. And I mean, that was like my, I was listening to that stuff. I was watching MTV as a teenager in the 90s and, watching Marcella. And now we connected and we're writing together, and she's a lovely person. And then, but, different generation really, but again, it always comes back to the song. And Everett's the same. Like, he's also been doing stuff forever. And then Marcus, my producer, he's brand new. I mean, he's like in his 20s, and he's like coming up, So I have a lot of different energy and different generational music different influences, people with different backgrounds and different influences, and so it's a really nice mix of people.
What's it like, Jann, when you're sitting down to co-write with somebody who you used to listen to as a fan, and now you're there co-writing with them? What's that like?
It's it was a little intimidating at first, and I will admit to being slightly starstruck because Marcella, I knew who she was. I met her at the NAMM show in LA last year, and then I met her again this year, and I just started talking to her, and I knew who she was, and I was like, oh my God, it's Marcella Detroit. Like I used to that was like, I was eating that stuff up when it came out, and because it was really cool. Like they had a really cool vibe. They were doing something very different and very unique, and the videos were like these short films, and it was a very interesting vibe. And so at first I was, you kind of just try to just be cool and think about the work and what you want to do and get to know each other. And but I told her, I just flat out told her, I was like, listen, I'm actually a little starstruck with you, and she would be like, oh, that's so sweet, So yeah, no, I it's fine. We just, after a while, it goes away, and you just focus on the work.
Yeah. Now, you said about, like listening to things for inspiration, if you will, when you're getting ready to record. What were you listening to as you're gearing up for this project?
A lot of different stuff. So a lot of contemporary stuff, but also a lot of Prince, because Everett is a huge Prince fan like I am. We're obsessed with him. So, we just kind of like dive into some of the records and sounds and lyrical messaging. And so a lot of different stuff, with Marcella, though, different. We didn't listen to anything. And she wanted it that way. She said, I'm not, she specifically said, I don't want to focus on writing a hit, so to speak. I want to just see what happens and what comes out. And it wasn't different with Everett. I mean, I never really go into it with that kind of an attitude of, oh, I'm going to write a hit. I just want to write a really good song that I can really connect with, and that makes me feel like it's a part of me, and then get the part of the other writer into that as well, and somehow, takes you out of your head a little bit too when you write with other people. And I love co-writing now. It's most of what I do. So yeah, I mean, we're listening to a lot of different stuff, a lot of contemporary stuff too, like just from the last, like Marcus Dembinski, my producer, and I, we both love Daft Punk. And we basically, when I first started talking to him, I was like, well, give me two favorites. And he was like, Daft Punk, Random Access Memories, and Led Zeppelin, Houses of the Holy, or whatever, or Led Zeppelin 2 or something. And I was like, oh, it's a nice combo right there. Like you could do a lot with that.
One's over here and one's over here.
You could do a lot with that. So there's tons of space in between, and that's nice. That gives everybody space, to work.
Yeah. I'll tell you mentioned Prince. What's your favorite Prince single and your favorite deep track from his catalog?
I'll start with the deep track because I've been listening to this because I was actually thinking about performing it live. Joy in Repetition off the Graffiti Bridge album. Amazing song and a total deep cut. I think like true Prince fans know it. You know, a lot of people love Prince, but they don't know the albums. You know, so if you gotta get in there, there's it's joy in repetition. And you said favorite single?
Hmm.
Favorite single probably probably Raspberry Beret. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
The
or oh god, there's so many. Get Off. I love that song.
Now, have you ever heard? There's a band, I believe, out of Austin called the Derailers. Have you ever heard their version
Of
of
Raspberry
Raspberry
Beret?
Beret?
No, but I'll check it out. The Derailers?
The Derailers,
Okay. I
and
hope the
it's
song isn't
basically
derailed.
Prince via Buck Owens.
Okay. What does that sound like? Like
Um,
a punk rock jam?
yeah, I mean, it's like you've got Don Rich, playing lead on a Prince song.
Oh wow. Okay.
So yeah, it's interesting. I personally love it, because
How would you describe it?
it's a Bakersfield honky tonk take on Raspberry Beret.
Okay. Bakersfield, California?
Yes. Yeah, where Buck
Honky
Owens,
tonk.
late,
Okay.
put his stake in the ground there, and him and Merle kind of headed up the sound along with Tommy Collins and a bunch of other folks. But
Okay. Wow. All right.
yeah, so you check it out. You'll,
Okay.
I'm sure you'll grin at least once.
Okay.
So who else from that era, has been an influence on you from the '80s
It,
era?
oh man, 80s is so much. I mean, let's see, where would I mean, ABBA, Madonna, um, definitely Prince, obviously. I mentioned that. Um, let me think. What is there in like late 80s? There's not a lot of really good rock that came out of that. You know, it was more hair band stuff, so
Hmm.
um I'm blanking right now on what else, but as far as underground or independent goes, but I'll keep thinking about it.
Yeah.
Something
Well,
will
it
come.
was the difference between early '80s and late '80s is
Yeah,
pretty vast, because you go
huge.
from the first where you're coming out of disco, and you got the punk movement going and the
Yeah.
first wave movement, coming out of
Okay,
the
so then that
late
helps me a little
'70s
bit
into the
because
'80s.
there's so much. So then I would mention Blondie. I would mention Sting and the Police, and definitely Peter Gabriel. I was like hugely into because it was on MTV and all the David Bowie stuff that was on
Hmm.
MTV. So the album I ate that up. I really ate that up.
I presume the specials probably had uh, something you found interesting.
Who?
Their ska, yeah, two
Who?
tone sound.
Who?
The specials.
Never heard of them.
Oh, really? Well, check it out.
Okay. A lot of like 80s Earth, Wind and Fire, Billy Joel. I mean, there's more. Tina Turner.
Hmm.
I love Tina. Like Tina Live. There's some great albums there. Tina Live. The Tina Live in Europe album is amazing. I wore that out.
Hmm.
Yeah. There you go. How's
Yeah.
that?
So getting back to your songwriting.
Hmm.
So when you go in, you say you're really enjoying co-writing now.
Yeah.
Are you someone where you're like a lyrics first or a music first, and the other person kind of blends, or are you writing with people who are, where you both kind of adapt to whatever the moment needs?
I'm more of a melody guy. I love coming up with a great melody and a strong hook. And so I work well with writers that are good at structure and chord progressions and lyrics. I'm pretty. I think I'm pretty decent with lyrics, but it's nice to have another person with me that is also good with lyrics and has confidence there.
Yeah. Lyricists. Who's somebody whose lyrics really hit home for you?
Oh man, again, there's so many. I mean, probably
You don't
one
have
of
to
the
name them all.
greatest. No, I mean, probably one of the greatest lyricists over is probably Joni Mitchell, just because she's such a great writer. She's such a great writer. So I would kind of ends and begins there for me.
Yeah.
Actually, she's just There's just you can't touch that. It's so good.
Well, it's not like that's a bad spot to be in. So,
Yeah, indeed.
now how about you talk about the production? What are some of your favorite records as far as where you sit there in the production really sets the tone, on the record for the record?
Yeah. So yeah, again, that's a huge pool but I have to say Peter Gabriel's latest album, I.O., I love the sound of that. I love that record, and I love the songs on it. Michelle Ndegocello, also more contemporary, although she's been around since the late 90s. I love her. I love her latest record, No More Water. It's based on poetry by James Baldwin. It's amazing. It's an amazing album. It's amazing. And the production on it is great. The performances are amazing. It's very, very centered around the music as poetry, and that's how it's performed live, and poetry as music. So it's got this wonderful combination. Who else? Let me think. As far as sound goes, I mean, Peter always satisfied. Prince always satisfies. Who I also really like when it comes to solo stuff sound is Paul McCartney. He has his records, his solo records sound beautiful. They're very beautiful. He's got a very warm, big sound, not too big, just not too loud. There's so much of as far as I'm trying to think of. If I go for like old school rock production, it's Zeppelin again. They make me very happy. It's just so big. The sound is just so big and bold. The EQing is perfect. Everything fits. Lots of color.
Yeah, you mentioned McCartney. What's an album track of his that you think should have been a single?
Jenny Wren. That was a beautiful song on one of the solo albums. I always liked that song. It was very intimate and personal. There are a lot of other ones, but I don't think that was a single. But I think it was a popular track. Hope of Deliverance. That was I loved that song. That was so beautiful.
Had a great sound.
It was a great sound. The guitar sound on there is delicious. And I got to know a couple of the guys that played in Wings, Denny Lane and Steve Hawley. I just texted with Steve. I invited him to my show. He was like, "Yeah, we'll be there." I was, "Oh, okay, great." So yeah, it's I think that those couple I would mention. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 1985.
My Love.
Yeah.
I think that was a single though.
Right.
I think that was a single. Was it? That's a little bit before my time, but
it was.
I love that song, man.
I was going to say 1985 and Mrs. Vanderbilt off of Band on the Run were two tracks that I thought, were prime singles.
I don't know those records as well, I have to admit.
Yeah. So, I'll tell you what, getting back to the new one, your new single, tell us about that.
What do you think of it? Tell me what you think of it. I want to know.
Well, I like it because it's got that 80s vibe to it, to me. And I like when something can incorporate the influences. Because for me, there's a big difference between, there's a lot of things put out where, it's, it sounds like imitation of what it's trying to aspire to, as opposed to incorporating the influence of what was done during that time. And there's a big difference. Yeah, it's kind of like the difference between like a house brand cookie or the name brand cookie. A lot of times the house brand one is not quite. they're missing the flavor by a bit. You know,
That's a nice way to put it.
same thing with music. So when I hear something, and to me, it's there's a lot of things I hear. It's just like, okay, this is just a blatant ripoff of, song A or artist A or what have you.
Yeah.
Then you have this stuff where you can tell that the person making it really, has a deep appreciation for, that, the production value or the songwriting or what have you, on it. And in your stuff, you can hear the influence on it, but you're not trying to imitate it, because we are all made of all the things that influenced us.
Yeah.
But how we perceive those things and then combine them, then re-express them, is what makes us all unique. Yeah. But when you have some things that sound like it's just a cash grab, it's like, I can get airplay if I incorporate, this person's, guitar riff and this synth piece and what have you. Yeah. So I like it when I can hear something go, oh, you know what? This person's a big Buddy Holly fan. I can, pick up, on that. Or this person, likes the production value of this era or what have you, but it's incorporated to be something new. Because if you don't bring something new to what you're doing,
yeah, what's the point?
Why not just listen to the original version?
Sure. Well, thank you. That's a very nice compliment. Yeah, I think that's it sounds selfish, but I honestly I try to please myself first. I want to really enjoy it. Like I want to make when I listen to records, I think, oh, I'm like a lot of producers. I think, oh, I wish I would have had this. I want something that sounds like so and so, and in my mind I have it mapped out, and I can hear it how I want it, and so I'm very particular. And Marcus Dembinski, my producer, and Everett actually co-produced this too, and we were, we had a moment where we didn't feel like it just wasn't there. It wasn't where it should be, and it was going in the wrong direction. And I pulled out a big stop sign. I called Marcus and I was like, no, stop. We need to talk. We're going in the wrong. So we got together with him and sat in a room together, and we started tweaking and exchanging ideas, the three of us. And after that, it was where it needed to be. Sometimes it just takes you just really have to not start over, but you have to go, this is going in the wrong, and you got to be honest with yourself and everyone else in the room too.
Yeah. Now, did you guys record multiple tracks, songs as part of this session, or did you focus on this new one?
We did 3, I think, in that session. Yes, we did 3, 2 or 3. So, we recorded the live drums and vocals, and a lot of other stuff we can do at home, in the home studio, like guitar stuff and keyboard stuff. And if we want a live piano, then we'll get that. There is a song that's beautiful that I wrote with Everett that's going to be on the next album. That's going to have live piano on it. So we do about 2 or 3 at a time.
Okay. Now, any time frame on when the album might be complete and released?
I can't say yet. I'm not supposed to. But it's coming. It's coming. We're working on it. Probably sooner than
you into saying anything that could legally, put you in jeopardy now.
So. No, and it wouldn't be a legal matter. I mean, the lawyer is my lawyer. It's all the same.
So you got the gig coming up tomorrow at the bitter end.
When is this airing? On this
Thursday.
This is airing Thursday. What day is
15th.
The 15th. Oh yeah, so the single comes out the 16th, right? And the New York City show at the bitter end is on the 17th. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So what can folks expect at the gig at the bitter end?
That's going to be great. We're going to be a 6-piece band. We are showcasing several new songs and some popular songs, and it's a club show, so we want to test stuff out. Want to get like a club show vibe, and we'll have Everett Bradley on percussion vocals and some keys, Marcus Dembinski, my producer, on the drums, and Tong Shared, who's a fantastic up and coming young bassist. He's going to be on bass, and Dominic Gregoretti is also an up and coming guitarist, electric guitarist, fabulous guitarist, amazing. I saw these guys play fusion, and fantastically well. I was like, I can't believe if someone still does this. It was great. Like they were doing like Herbie Hancock covers. Anyway, great guitarist. And Danielle Gatto, she's a singer I discovered out on Long Island, who I brought in, and myself. So we'll be six piece.
Yeah. Now, are you going to be doing any touring coming up?
No, not at the moment. So just concentrating on working on the record, and then I'm heading to Brazil for some shows in October, and Germany again in January.
All right. Let it give you some time to finish out the rest of the tracks for the album that is TBD.
Yes, that is correct.
Well, to tell me this, Jann, is there anything else that we haven't hit on that you want to make sure we do before we bring this one to a close?
Oh, well, let me see. I don't know. I think just come out to the shows, I think that's the best thing about music now, We have so many clubs have closed, and live music is such a rarity. So it's become so much more meaningful, I think. And the bitter end is having this renaissance, which is crazy. Like Paul Simon was just there, like what? So but so many other places are gone. Mm-hmm. So it's a real gift to have these places still around, and in New York City.
Well, there's no replacement for live music. I mean,
No.
Don't get me wrong. I got a lot of music at the house. However, as nice as what that is, there's just something about the live performance.
Totally. It's so good.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun, and it feels so special, more so than now than ever. Because it's also, there isn't that much original music, like the market has been flooded with tribute bands and cover bands, and it's like, where's the new stuff? Where's the fresh?
Well, it's that way with movies too, where you see so many,
it's very formulaic.
Remakes.
It's boring.
Yes,
yeah.
And I understand the catch there. Is getting the studio looks at it from the standpoint of, we got to make sure we get a return on our money.
Yeah, but that's boring. It's safety.
Exactly.
People go for safety.
That's their approach.
Yeah.
And from a business standpoint, obviously, if you want to stay in business, you got to make money. However, if you don't put out something unique and interesting for people, there's no reason to go to the theater.
And they don't.
So, if you put out,
which is why.
Bad remakes or just, variations on something that's already been done, or things that just aren't that interesting, you can't, as a studio, go, well, nobody's coming to our product.
Listen, there's so much good new music out there. You may have to look for it a little harder. And there's so many good filmmakers and movies and content that is put out there but you may have to just look for it a little bit harder. You can't rely on this what's being fed to you, but you have to do a little work, and it's going to be worth it. I promise it's worth it.
Well, and that's the thing. I've had a lot of people, complain, especially, people 50 plus, who will say there's no good music out there now. I don't hear good music. It's like, well, in the past, radio brought it to you, MTV
and they still
brought
do
it to you.
And they still do.
Now,
there's still a lot of stations.
Oh, there's a lot of great stuff
new
out
music,
there.
a lot.
But now, as you said, you have to go find it, because it's not being delivered to you anymore.
Well, you have to listen. You have to find outlets like yours, that want to feature independent artists.
Yeah. So it just comes down to, and I'll play people music and they're like, whoa, this is great. It's like, well, yeah, if you really, love music, the way you say, then you need to put forth the effort, because by not putting forth the effort, you're cutting yourself off from a lot of really good stuff.
Yeah.
So
thank you for doing that. Really,
yeah,
I mean it.
So,
yeah.
But I suppose this is probably as good a point as any, Jann.
Totally. It's a good
it's
making
about
a
my
point.
friends who don't want to put forth the effort to go find new music and would rather just complain.
Yeah. I mean, I like Hotel California, but I don't need to hear it for the 100,000th or whatever it is time done again in the exact same way. I don't. I want to hear something new. I want to hear something different.
Right. Well, and yeah, as far as like even, radio goes, there was an oldie station in Chicago, the market that I live in. And that oldie station had roughly 400 songs in their total playlist. So you're covering decades worth of music, and you've only got 400 songs.
Not a lot. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Like, it's great to enjoy that music. It is. But also,
but
try to also enjoy other newer, discovery. Go on discovery. It's like going for a long walk. I mean, I like Michelle Ndegocello is a perfect example. She's always been very independent and kind of done her own thing. But when you hear that stuff, even Peter Gabriel, who's a mainstream, technically, I mean, he was anyway, a mainstream artist. And, he doesn't put out a lot of new music, but when he does, it's phenomenal, So, I think we can make room for new music and still enjoy the old music,
Right. It's the limitations that are unnecessarily put in place, on things, whether it's, like I say, radio. If you're an oldie station and you're covering multiple decades worth of music and you only got 400 songs, you should be able to find, at least 50 songs from each year that are worth playing.
Yeah.
Just one decade is 500 songs. So I don't see why why that station doesn't have, because I mean, you don't want to, me personally, don't want to hear a song and go, oh, it's 4:15 because they're playing Sugar Pie Honey Bunch again, Yeah. I mean, which is pretty much what happened.
They want to please the advertisers, and the advertisers go for safety, so they want to keep their audience, and they keep an audience with something familiar. So, there you go.
Yep. So, all right, Jann, we'll tell you what, we've had your website and your social media and all that stuff scrolling across the
flashing
screen
in red
throughout the show, so folks can find you. You got the gig, you got the new records out tomorrow. You've got the show, The Bitter End, coming up. And then for anybody watching in Brazil, come October in New York City. All right. Well, tell you what, Jann, thanks for taking the time to join us again. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Michael. See you next time.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.
This has been Music Night at the Majestic with Michael Boswell. If you enjoyed this edition of Music Night at the Majestic, follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and at musicnight.net. Music Night at the Majestic is a copyright production of Starliner Media. Any use of the accounts and descriptions of this program, its audio or visual content, without the express written consent of Starliner Media is prohibited. Thank you for joining us this evening. We'll see you next time for Music Night at the Majestic. This is your announcer speaking. Starliner Media.